And, um, hi, Victoria.
Hi, Cars. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, now you're my witnesses that it's working. Because when it's
I've been there, done that. I know the feeling. Yes.
Got his best.
Yes.
yeah, it says best distribution update.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, awesome. How you guys doing?
Under the circumstances, quite well.
Good. I'm glad. How's the smoke over there?
What's that?
How's the smoke over there?
So far, the last couple of days, it's been present, but not terrible. Last week, it was terrible.
It sure was, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I don't, I have a program, a couple of programs that tell us what the conditions are. And it was interesting. Foothill Cottage had very bad air, several times worse than we had, a couple different days.
And we're 2 miles away.
Yeah, it's only 2 miles, less than 2 miles away by bird. And so, anyway, it's kept us from doing any major exercise.
Yeah, right?
It's just simply smart not to push in conditions like this.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Problem is, I don't know when it's going to be over, when we're going to go back to normal.
I know. I have Denise talking a little bit about some of the CAL FIRE stuff going on because it's just it's a little crazy. I know that this fire around you guys is like 70-something% contained. Do you ever look at that stuff?
Oh, sure.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I haven't looked at that fire today. I've seen the SCU fire. That was in the 70s. Let me see if I can get it up here.
I'm intrigued. Your voice is coming through, but this participant sign says you're muted.
Is it really?
Yes. Not that I'm complaining, because I've been hearing you.
And it says I'm muted? Interesting. Huh.
Don't argue with success.
I give up with Zoom.
I understand that feeling. Yeah.
Okay, CAL FIRE. I'm going to see if I can see what the.
I'll be back in just a moment. I wanted to go get something.
Sounds good, Larry.
I wanted to have notes.
I need a place for my cup.
Oh, this, yeah. I was going to speak with you before we had a crowd. You spoke the last couple times ago about having an exercise the same day as the evacuation exercise.
Yes, and I was going to bring that up again. What are your thoughts?
I think that's trying to do too much too soon.
Okay.
There's a couple things that I've been concerned about, particularly if we're going to send people in the field, we have to talk to them. And that's not really been practiced for several years. And particularly if they're not hams, it's never been practiced. And so I'm going to touch on this tonight. I would propose that we have a training exercise about how to handle reports in using ham radio, but also something that we have talked about but never done, how to handle reports using text messaging.
Yeah.
And so when you send people out in the field who are not hams, we need to establish an effective way to talk to them as well. And so the third part of my push is that all of our certs should have one of the Baofeng ham radios, those who are not hams, just to listen, because then we could coordinate everyone in a non-self-alerting situation like
Yeah.
a silver search. Uh, we'd have to tell them by text message that we need their help. And no one has practiced that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That was something that I talked to Denise about. And I think we were just looking for like even just like a simple, okay, I got the alert. Like literally, that was it. And just checking in. I'm checking in. Because yeah, I had a long meeting with Marcia and Denise and Dave. And we talked specifically about what recon is going to look like, because I know that was something we've talked about the last 3 or 4 meetings. And I felt the same way. You know, I feel like it's a little too soon, and maybe it's more of a ham slight, you know, you guys calling each other on ham to check in rather than having the certs do it, because I think there's a lot of confusion still about how that looks.
Well, there's confusion, and that's what I would like to be working on. I'm thinking that we should have a Zoom meeting, two meetings, one Zoom meeting for hams, and then a separate Zoom meeting for non-hams who would otherwise not have thought about what it means to be involved in a search where your only real way of telling people is by text message. It's doable. I mean, I've been spending, as my wife would attest, I've been bending her ear all day on this.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the point I wanted to speak with you about was that I think the idea is a good one, but I think we need to do some training before we try to do it.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way too. And I told Denise, you know, we really haven't had a lot of people saying, yeah, we should do something even simple as like an activation alert, because it just doesn't seem like people are, I think the more we've been talking, the more confusion there I can see. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on that one. I would like to see us, because we have a training coming up next week. And I actually sent you an email saying, you know, what do you think we could do for the next steps? Like, I know we talked about doing the recon paperwork, and maybe we need to incorporate some, you know, you're more of an expert at this than I am, but I know we were talking about doing the, you know, kind of our 3-part series and then kind of finishing up with the drill. You know, I use the word drill, remote drill, right? We're not all going to be, and especially right now with the smoke, you know, I don't know what it's going to look like in 2 weeks.
Sure.
You know, and I'd hate to have people feel like they had to go and, you know, do anything more than just calling in saying, I got the alert, you know.
Well, you see, what I'm thinking that we can do, and in fact, let's start with ham radio.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people. I just got an email from one of our certs who is wanting to get her license and is looking forward to whatever training I can establish. And so what I'd like to be doing is using our Zoom connections to perform the equivalent of a ham radio reporting session.
Okay.
The kind of example, I'll start with a simple example of saying, one of the first lessons that we tell our people usually is that think before you talk. Don't push the think too much.
That's the worst when people do that, right? They sit on it and then you hear them going, you're just like, yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what I'm going to propose is that we keep our pointer over the mute unmute button.
Okay.
And so you don't unmute until you're going to say something. And then as soon as you finish, you mute yourself. If we do that, you start training people that they have to think both about pushing the button and not and releasing the button, and that'll help get them thinking about what's involved. Because what most people don't realize is that we normally in a telephone conversation where you can interrupt each other.
Mm,
But if you're on a radio, either you're talking or the other person's talking. You don't have a chance to hear their thoughts until you stop talking.
right.
Well, I'm not sure that many non-hams think of that.
I don't think they do.
And so what I really would like to do is to try to reach out to all of our CERT people with the idea that you can be a major help as a communicator as long as you're riding in a car with a ham, because you can use their license. You're authorized to have them let you use their radio as long as they're in the car with you. Well, that means you now should know how to do reports and how to check in and make
Right.
sure things are happening. So that's the kind of,
I like that a lot.
well, I'm glad you said that because I create these ideas and I have to, it's not
You have
always
to
true
stand
that
by
they
them,
go.
right?
I'm full of ideas. That doesn't mean they're always good. But
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't have a ton of content. It's hard because a lot of the stuff that we do as certs is more hands-on, right? So it's really hard to like put it into something where we can be, realistically engaged in it and
yeah,
not just me going blah 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 on a PowerPoint, right? Because I mean, anyone could do that. So it would be great to sort of put that into play. Is that something that you think you and I could put together before the next meeting we
I
have?
think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty certain. Well, I certainly we can wing it if nothing else. But
Yeah.
yeah, the answer is realistically that it's time to bring in all of our certs, not just the hands, but all of our people into this. What the kinds of protocol are involved when you're handling a lot of people in a party line, essentially. And so radio operators, you can have 100 people actively on your frequency, and people will follow the rules if they
Yeah.
believe you're going to. If they sign in and say, "I want to talk to you," you will eventually get back to them, and that's part of the kind of training that I'm proposing. It's 7 o'clock, so I'll sit back and let you talk for a
Well, I
while.
get to add that into my talk tonight. Thank you, Larry. Super excited
Uh-oh.
about that. So can I talk about that for the next week, and you and I can work together, even if we have to sort of wing it. I think it's just good to throw it out there and be like, hey, let's just try it.
Well, I think so. I think
Okay.
one of the big points for me has always been this kind of exercising should be something everybody is comfortable doing. And so I strongly push the idea that we make it happen. If you don't get a chance to listen next week, we'll do it another time when you do get a chance.
Yeah, maybe we can have a couple sessions. We don't have to do it on Wednesdays. We could do maybe a weekend one real quick, and maybe kind of make it a more user friendly if we see people that really want to do it. 'Cause I think it's really important. I agree with you. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is people all talking over each other and not knowing how to use a radio when that's our major means of communication in an emergency.
Well, I think it is, although I am, after my efforts today, thinking that there are ways to use text messaging to do a lot of
Right.
effort for
And
the
we can give that as
non-ham.
an alternative, right? We can
Well,
say,
in fact,
okay,
it's
if that
the
doesn't work,
only route
right?
for the non-hams
Yeah,
because they don't have ham radio capability.
right.
Yeah,
I
my
like
wife says I'm always willing to talk, and so
Hey, no, you know what? I love any kind of things and ideas. I think it's great. And I think you're a great teacher. So I appreciate that. Hi, everybody.
hello.
Hi.
Happy Wednesday. I'm so happy to see your smiling faces after our couple weeks of crazy we've had here. I hope everybody is healthy and don't have a sore throat like I have every time I go outside. I don't know if anyone else is having that problem too, with a tickle and the sore throat. Yeah. I got hoarse for a couple days too, and I thought, geez, okay, I must be talking too much because I'm sucking up too much smoky air. So I had to be I had to be quiet for a little bit, and that seemed to help. Not gonna lie, I stayed home for a couple days and just kind of chilled out. But yes, welcome. It's 7 o'clock. I don't have a huge amount of content tonight. It has been a little crazy with what's been going on for us. So I have Denise coming on about 7:30 to talk about just sort of the evacuation stuff. I'm sure some of you may have some thoughts about how that looked, and maybe some things that you've thought of that we can work on or really stress when it comes to kind of these evacuations and notices and things like that. I did the training last week, so we didn't have a whole lot of time to chit chat. So I probably have a little bit of open question and answer stuff with Denise regarding wildfire, things like that, since it seems to be on the forefront of all of our minds after our lovely lightning show we had. So I do have some updates for you guys. Nothing too exciting. I was hoping I got Dave or Neil on. We'll kind of maybe push it off till Dave gets on with a best update. So I have a couple updates for you. The first thing is the ARC. So the ARC, obviously, we had a couple plans right in the midst of the crazy to go down to the ARC on Sunday morning. We were still getting active lightning, so that obviously got postponed. And obviously the air quality has been not the best. So I have an email. Hi, John. I have an email out to Steve to see when he wants to get together again and do some more work on the ARC. We still have to relabel bins. We're still thinking about how to reorganize the bins so that some of us who may not be comfortable grabbing a huge heavy bin from up high, we may need to redistribute some of the weight so it's easier for people to get some bins off the ARC. Also, John has very, very nicely, hi Shell, has very nicely offered to help me with doing some generator work. It's not my forte. I've never actually started a generator, nor do I have a desire to. So he very nicely stepped up to the plate and is going to help me next week. We just got a date of Thursday. I'm hoping during that time we can get the gas in some of these generators and get some things switched out in the trailers. So hopefully we'll be pretty much good with the trailer stuff. We're trying to get the rest of the stuff that needs to get switched out, like we had to switch out in the ARC. A lot of stuff was the same, like first aid supplies and things like that. So I need to get on the ball and get that taken care of. I do have a little PowerPoint I put together. Let me try and share it with you guys here. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, cool. So we talked. I'll just do a little update, and then if Dave hops on, he can do a little more for me. So for vest distribution, we distributed 44 vests now, which is pretty awesome. The procedure now, since we had those pickup dates, we've sort of changed it a little bit. If you have not picked up your vest and need to pick it up, you're going to email Dave. And I'll send this PowerPoint out to you guys. So if you haven't picked up your vest, go ahead and email him and you can coordinate a time to pick up your vest. I think we'll do this maybe for the month of September. And then after that, we'll bring the vest over to the ARC and they'll be there for further distribution. And we can just hand them out when we have meetings or drills. We can go back to being with each other, not so much social distancing. I want to do a big thanks to Neil and Dave. It's been a long process all the way around, from fruition to the modeling to the handing out. So I'm really thankful that they were so great in doing all that for us. Dave is also making some name tags. So you're all aware of your Cert name tag. When we have a lot of people in a big event, I know for myself, I can't see far away very well. So it's really awesome. These name tags that he's making are really big, large, with a picture, and kind of delineates exactly what your role is. And I think for people like myself, it's really great. So I know he's been working on a link for the name tags to send out. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to say I know exactly what his process is. I just kind of read some of his emails, and I want to make sure that he's ready for me to be able to push that out. ARC update.
Hi, Victoria.
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, do we still
Even though we have the name tag for the vest, you still want us to wear the badges, right, on the lanyard?
Yes, that does not take the place of, it's sort of an addition to where we can all see.
Okay.
Tags and people.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Mari. And welcome. Hi, Steve. Hi, Amy. Linda. So,
Hi.
like I said before, we've had some updates. This is my update I already gave you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going on this one. Okay, now you don't want to go forward. Why not? There we go. I wanted to do a couple of role reviews, the medical team and the redemption area. I thought it would be cool to go over the redemption area because just, you know, from what we've heard about and observed over these fires, there's a lot of times where we have people that come to drop off things and donations and such. And that can get pretty tricky in organization and things like that. So I thought we'd kind of go over these couple items as an ARC role review. Let me get to the right area that I have set up for that. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to go over was the Cert medical team. You know, obviously that's another major role that we have. Sometimes medical things can make people who are not used to dealing with injured people a little bit uncomfortable. So if that's something that, I know there's some people that do not like to set aside of blood and things like that. So obviously this is a role that maybe some people feel really comfortable with and some people may not, right? So what's their responsibility? So their responsibility is triaging and treatment of the injured, coordination of first aid supplies, monitoring the health of the CERT team members, and overseeing the morgue. Some of the responsibilities of the CERT medical team, obviously, you know, they report to the operations lead. They're going to assess the situation before beginning operation. We're going to do an estimate of the number of potential victims based on the information provided by the operations lead. You're going to arrange for some resources, equipment's in the ARC, and then personnel from staging. Where are we going to do those location of duties? There's an ARC command post map. I can pull it up for you guys while Denise is doing her talk and get that up so you guys can look at it. There's a lot of materials needed for medical. Some of these lists are pretty short with materials needed. Obviously medical is going to be a little bit more intensive on that. So you're going to need to have, you know, multiple people there to assist. This is going to be hard to do a one-man job on this one. So you're going to need to have the CERT medical team vests, job descriptions, keep one for your replacement. Obviously, you know, this is a category that's going to need to have turnovers, briefings, and those kind of things pretty regularly. Clipboard, pens, paper tablet, patient logs, super important, position log and timesheet, space blankets, so 10 space blankets. You're gonna have a large red first aid bag from the ARC. We have changed the color to blue. Hi, Drew.
Hi, sorry, Mike.
No worries. We have changed that color to blue. However, we're going to be hopefully going to the orange color bags that are larger and made for more larger amount of victims. We're actively working on that right now. Triage tarps. My goodness, I need some more coffee. It's been a long day. Your tarps, right? Can anyone tell me what color those tarps are? Trick question.
They come in various
Green, so yellow, red, and black, because the greens are walking.
Correct. I do think they have a green one.
Do
However,
they?
I think so. Yeah.
We do. At least they can collect there. They can.
Yeah, they can collect and hang out. Yeah, but you're right, Mari. Those are walking people, and not a lot of them will be hanging out on that tarp if you're utilizing them well, right?
Right.
Yep. Good one. Thank you. And thank you, Steve, for that input. 4 cots, 1 tent, a table, a chair, and a green A-frame with a medical sign, and then medical waste contained in red bags for medical waste. So lots of materials. What's your immediate action? You're going to get a radio from the communications team. You're going to put on the vest, set up your workstation. It's going to include the 3x6 white table, a folding chair, a green A-frame with medical sign attached, and 1 tent. So remember, these things are written down for you when you get your packet. So I know it seems very daunting, but just remember that this is all laid out for you in the ARC. You're going to lay out the triage tarps according to the ARC command post map. It's a very well placed map, and it shouldn't be too hard to figure out where you're supposed to be doing those. And also your IC and operations lead will be able to help you too if you're struggling to figure that out. You're going to maintain a log of patients and activities, very important, right? Maintain access areas for ambulances. There's also the command post map that looks over that as well. Like I said, I'll be pulling that up maybe after we get Denise on to talk about what that command post map. I think I can get it online here. Continue actions. You're going to create your triage team. So they're going to perform a head-to-toe assessment and then document the findings
I'm muted.
on the triage
Did
tape.
you have
We're no longer using black. I think we probably talked about that before. So we have, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have like a zebra.
It's zebra. We've got like a dozen rolls of that in the ARC.
Yeah, so we're gonna call them deceased, and we're not gonna be using any kind of black description. So we'll be using the zebra. You're gonna create your treatment team. What does a treatment team do? They open airways, control bleeding, and treats for shock. We're gonna probably have another. We're hoping to stop the bleed, but we're gonna have to create more of a tactical first aid class for you guys. So we're going to go over some of that stuff again. I know there are sort of some differences in curriculum when it comes to triage. They still want us to teach triage, and we're still doing that. I think it's one thing that's been used widely with even the people in our sheriff's office. We've taught them how to do triage using the same method that you guys do. So we have a good interagency collaboration when it comes to that. Maintain logs of patient activities. We saw that before. That's really super important, right? You want to be able to say, what's going on with the patient, what their disposition was, what they were, how they were when you were checking them, where did they go? Did they move from, green to yellow to red? That can happen pretty quickly sometimes with people, especially children. So you want to make sure that you guys are keeping up on that. You should always be reevaluating patients. Depending on the amount of patients that you have, you may have to pull in some more resources, right? So if you're, you're the only person there somehow, and you've got, more than 2 people, you're already in MCI and man. So you want to make sure that you're at least getting some help in there. If the morgue is needed, you're going to request the morgue materials from the logistics lead. So that's where you're going to get that. If you need a break, contact the operations lead for relief. This is, like I said, an area where you may start to feel uncomfortable and not want to be in that area, and that's completely normal. Don't think anything less of yourself. Some of these situations can be upsetting. So if you need to have a break, please make sure that you take care of yourself in that situation, because obviously your safety and your mental safety are very important. If you need assistance, you want to get the operations lead to get you some assistance. For shift changes, you want to turn all your team materials over to your replacement, and you're going to provide them with any information they need to successfully perform their duties. So that's going to probably mean going, a good turnover between patient to patient and just kind of letting them know what you guys have observed. So using that documentation that you've been keeping is super important in that respect. If you get demobilized, and when you get hopefully you do get demobilized, you're going to ensure all copies of patient activity log, incoming and outgoing, are turned over to the demobilization team so the documents can be filed in the ARC for documentation purposes and future use by finance. You're going to replace your vest and supply items into the Cert medical team Ziploc bag and return the bag to the demob team. You're going to want to replenish all items, right? So we do that EMS too. When you use something, you got to put it back, right? So you want to ensure that the next team looking forward has what they need, and also that all of your supplies and forms, etc., can be used for another incident right away. So if you find that things are getting we don't have enough, and you're having to treat multiple people, and you're going to run out of supplies, that would be something where you would want to let your incident commander know, and your team lead and the operations lead. And then they can call someone from the fire department too, and our fire district, and we can get you guys some supplies. Any questions on the Cert medical team? Real easy to talk about it, but when you're in it, right? So it can be a little daunting. So The next thing I want to talk about too was redemption. So we've heard a lot of things, especially with evacuations. You know, all of the evacuations we've had in the last several years, and I'm sure people that have been to some of these distribution centers and volunteered, and you know, people like the Kearneys and Neil and who have gone out can see that sometimes we have people who are really awesome because they're donating things, but it can be very, very hard to organize and wade through when you have mass amounts of people trying to drop things off. So the redemption area is some area that you really want to focus on, you know, some good organization and some good setup for traffic flow and things like that. So this is a really, again, a very important area that we're going to focus on. So the Cert redemption team is responsible for overseeing the receipt and distribution of items from the public. Your responsibility, reports to the logistics lead. And let me point out something really quick too. Because of COVID, they're usually distribution center are only taking brand new items, right? So I know sometimes a lot of people will go, okay, well, I have a ton of blankets and I want to, you know, I want to give some blankets. And unfortunately, because of COVID, they've had to really watch. So most, if not all of distribution centers are only asking for brand new items with tags on them. Just something for you guys to be aware of. Responsibility, oh, and gift cards too, that's always a big one, because then people can use the gift card and go purchase what they need. So so back to responsibility. So you're reporting to the logistics lead. You want to ensure donated material is organized into assigned locations. Meet with the public in need of supplies for their families. Contact operations lead to advise the town of Los Altos Hills logistics lead that supplies are available for distribution. The location of the duties outside the secure taped off area in the ARC, since non-CERT folks will be dropping off and picking up material. What's needed, you're going to be getting your items needed from the redemption area team's Ziploc bag. You'll have a redemption area team vest, felt pens, staplers, masking tape, poster board, which is in the ARC, cones, some yellow tape, some barricades, and then 4 wooden stakes to advise logistics lead when these are needed. Immediate actions. Check out a radio from the communications team. Make sure parking area for redemption is clear of vehicles. If vehicles are blocking the area, ask if any of them are CERT members working in the ARC area and ask them to move their cars to another designated area. If vehicles cannot be moved, use your judgment on how and where to set up the redemption area. You know, we have a pretty good sized parking lot there, and there's probably some other areas that we could utilize too. I haven't, like I said, I'll try and look at the map and see if we have something on the map that will designate sort of what they were thinking in terms of where to set that up at. You're going to designate parking spots for signage for supplies coming in, so you're going to make some signs. Some possible signage could be baby items, clothing, food, water. I would definitely make a gift card one, bedding, those kind of things, as well as some other things that you may want to consider. I know for the evacuees in the Santa Cruz area, they were asking for a lot of like cots, sleeping bags, pillows, and those kind of things because people just didn't have anywhere to lay down. So I know that was kind of a hot ticket item they were looking at. A lot of camping supplies too. Attached signage.
Victoria, the cards are, is probably best to have, if there are gift cards, to have the person running that area to hold the gift cards as opposed to laying them out in a signed area, because sometimes people come and take a bunch of them, and you just want to be able to give them out to other people.
I would probably, I just meant like at different areas. So to have a gift card area, to me, it would be like a envelope or something that's right next to a volunteer. I would never have them just throw it into a box.
Okay.
Yes. So once you attach the signage to the wooden stakes, you're going to place it in the ground in designated parking spaces. Obviously, that's going to have to be in dirt, right? So you have to think about that too. It can't be in the middle of the parking lot with no dirt access. As supplies come in, you're going to have citizens or volunteers place the material in the designated spots. You're going to keep a log of people that donate items. There's a Form A and Form B. I don't know if this is able to, I guess it's in your packet. Keep a log of material distributed to citizens as well. So incoming items and then outgoing items. So what are your continuing actions? You're going to keep the driveway open for drop-off and pickup of material using cones, yellow tape, and/or barricades. Keep dropped-off material organized. Advise logistics lead if you need assistance. Advise logistics lead that you have donated items in case the town of Los Altos Hills needs them. Obviously, if you need a break, you're going to contact logistics lead for relief. Volunteers that report to you will also need to be rotated in and out and develop a plan for that to happen. If you have, as usual, if you have citizens that come through, they're going to have probably some questions. So you want to be able to refer all your inquiries to the incident PIO at the town. If there's a shift change, and return all redemption team materials over to your replacement and provide them with any information that they will need to successfully perform their duties. When you get demobbed, you're going to ensure all the copies of the forms, items received and items distributed are turned over to the demobilization team so the documents can be filed in the ARC for documentation purposes and future use by finance. As always, you're going to replace your vest and supply items in the Cert redemption team Ziploc bag, place the bag and return the bag to the demobilization team. Replenish all items, supplies, forms, etc. from the ARC supplies to ensure the redemption team's Ziploc bag can immediately be used for another incident if necessary. Any questions on the Cert redemption area team? Okay. Yes, go ahead, Mari.
Victor, so I ran a redemption area for the Red Cross, and it depends on time of year, but if it's really rainy, it would be helpful to have pallets down so that boxes of things can be put onto the pallets so that they're not sitting in the water. But that's more seasonal.
Yeah. Can you send me an email so I can see if we can get some pallets?
Okay.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you. Love the input. These are good things to hear from people who have actually gone through these exercises, right, for reality. So thank you. Anything you can let us know is perfect. So the last thing I want to talk about before I turn this over to Denise is that, you know, we've talked about at several meetings now what recon is going to look like during COVID. And I know there's been some concern and some talk about, you know, different options of what we could do from, you know, I'm comfortable driving alone to do recon, or, you know, can I bring a family member if I do? How does that look for liability? You know, how's that going to look for contact? Then, you know, can we go in a car together if we're kind of the same COVID bubble and just distance ourselves? Can we drive in one car and drive behind another person in another car? So we've had all kinds of sort of scenarios that we've discussed. And I had a call with Marcia Hobie from the town, and then Denise and Dave. I invited Neil, but I think he's still out and about, to kind of talk about what that looks like and what, you know, the safety factors that we have into play and what things are going to look like if you are going to have to do or be asked to do recon during COVID. So we kind of threw out a bunch of different scenarios. I mean, we can scenario this forever, right? But we have some guidelines that we're looking at to put together a procedure. The next person or group that I want to look at these is the ECC to see if they have any input in that. So Drew, we'll be, after this, you know, I'll be kind of talking to you about that in our next ECC meeting. Maybe we can discuss that.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, we haven't, our next meeting is Tuesday night. Thanks for setting that Zoom thing up for us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, no problem.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go over that right now. Mind you, this is, you know, kind of new in its originality, right? We just kind of talked about this. So this is sort of our thought process with this. So what's this going to look like during COVID? So one of the things that we had talked about was, you know, can I just do it by myself, right? I feel safer doing that because, you know, I don't have to have interactions with anybody. COVID, really for us, the safety factor is huge. And, you know, we need to continue with our thought process of, you know, Cert, which is, you know, you have to have a buddy at all times. We don't want anyone doing recon alone at this time. This should also be the case when we don't have a pandemic, right? So we're gonna keep to that mantra and keep to that procedure. So we're gonna have, you know, buddy up. So we'll get into that a little bit when I get through this, but you know, you can certainly, if you're alone and you're going to be activated to go to the ARC, you can certainly look around as you go, right? Look for critical infrastructures. If you report and if you see findings, you can report it. You know, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that, but we're not going to do a targeted recon, you know, by ourselves, and we're not going to be asking you to do that. We're also going to be doing the OK signs, and Denise will talk about that a little bit, if you can, Denise, a little bit later. It's one of the programs that they're kind of, I think, refreshing a little bit. It's going to change a little bit from what its original was. I think it's going to be OK, and there's not going to be any help signs, right, Denise? Just going to be OK? Yeah. So, you know, you can obviously look for those things and, you know, remember them when we get to the ARC, you can do, you know, a little report, but you're not going to be doing by yourself an actual targeted recon. So what are the ways it can respond to activation during COVID? So let me move my little group over here so I can read it. All right. If after an event has occurred, if critical infrastructure has been compromised and there's no way to communicate, you can just respond directly to the ARC. After an event has occurred, critical infrastructure intact, but your area is impacted, if you're a ham, have cell phone coverage or other radio communication, and have a buddy. This could also be a member of your family that's been a registered general labor worker. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You can remotely check in as long as you have good, solid communication with the ARC. I talked to Larry before the meeting, and he has some really good training ideas for our next training next week to kind of look at what that would look like if you're not a ham, and some of the things that we can do in the meantime. So look forward to doing that with him. The other thing is, after the event has occurred, critical infrastructure intact, you know, areas impacted, you are a ham or you have cell phone coverage or other radio communication, you have a friend or family that would like to help, but is not registered as a general labor worker for the town. You know, we don't prefer this. We would prefer that we do it all prior to, but in, you know, an emergency, if you have someone that's willing to help, we can do a quick self-fill form that we talked to Marcia about. She's putting together that for us. You know, we can get them signed up, but we need their contact information. We don't want to have people just signing up and turning in a form without having some way to make sure that they're safe. So, and just know we're trying this. There's gonna be some more work that has to go into this, but this is sort of our thought process. Hold on a second. Can I have a family member or friend drive me to assist with recon, or are they covered for liability? That was one thing that was discussed too, that people were feeling a little bit uncomfortable about. So yes, you can have a family member drive as long as they're registered as a general labor worker through the town of Los Altos Hills. This is kind of going into more about what I was just talking about. So how do I register them? We are working on creating a self-filling form that can be filled out prior to an activation and remote, again, last resort during an activation. Because we kind of were seeing this as more of like, hey, this might be a good way for people to be involved in the Cert group, right? But not have to go through this intensive, you know, fingerprinting and you know, an academy and things like that. Our thoughts are, hey, you know, we can get this as a recruitment tool. All they're going to have to do literally is fill out this form, and then we are going to be doing like a safety briefing with them, just so they understand, you know, situational awareness and things like that. We don't just want to throw them out there. But, you know, this is a really easy way to get involved and to help, but not so much having to go through all of the hoops. So the only really requirements we're having right now is if they're under the age of 18, they're going to have to be obviously continuously supervised by their guardian. They should have filled out their voluntary registration form. We'll be sending that out with a lot of verbiage with everybody, but we're, you know, hopefully prior to the event, we're going to work on some verbiage for a safety briefing for them. And then we're going to want their picture and contact information at the ARC, just so that we can keep track of them. What will recon look like after I check in at the ARC? So say that you went right directly to the ARC. I know we talked about how recon's going to look if that is the case. So our thoughts are, if we're not going to be asking you to ride it with someone that's not in your kind of your COVID bubble. We know that sometimes, you know, with family and friends, you kind of have a little COVID bubble that you're safe with those people and you feel, you know, comfortable. We're not going to ask you to ride with somebody. It's just your safety is number one. And we don't feel that we're going to, you know, we're not going to force you into an uncomfortable situation. So it'll be your choice whether you want to agree to do that or not. If you say, sure, I feel comfortable to agree with someone kind of outside your COVID bubble, and they want to be, you guys are going in the same vehicle, we're going to be asking you to follow some CDC guidelines. We'll have verbiage for that for you guys too. So the ride sharing CDC guidelines are pretty typical of what we do, anyway. So wearing a face mask, try to maintain social distance in the vehicle. I know it's a little bit difficult, but so one driving and then maybe one on the backseat passenger side. Windows need to be down. Sorry, I misspelled that, to promote air movement. And then we're obviously going to ask you not to kind of sit in the car and chit chat for long periods of time, right? So you're going to be wanting to, kind of get in and out of the vehicle to kind of break up that, get to do what you have to do and then exit the vehicle. Using hand sanitizer or washing your hands prior to and entering the vehicle and exiting the vehicle is always a good thing too. Remember too, we want to sanitize other things. So if you are, have your telephone or your cell phone with you and things like that, you can quickly sanitize those things as well. Once you're out of the recon, obviously on our recon, obviously if you're going to be exiting the vehicle, we ask that you still continue to use proper PPE, right? Just because you get out and go, oh gosh, I could take this mask off, right? So it's a state and county wide policy that we keep our mask on outside our homes. The other thing we're going to talk about, you're going to look for the okay signs while you're out there as well. We're going to ask you to kind of be actively doing that because it's kind of a change in our otherwise okay procedures. So we'll get more into that too as well. We had another question of who can do emergency swearing in. So I know in the past people have not been sure if they have the ability to swear people in. So the town has an ordinance. So obviously the command staff holds the responsibility for certifying general labor workers. General labor workers are part of the kind of job assignments for DSWs. And our thought process with these general labor workers are very, very minimal. So if you had, like, I'm just gonna give an example, like if I wanted my daughter to drive me during recon, I would basically have her just doing that assignment. Her assignment would be to drive me and that's it. We can do, just in time training as well for some certain aspects of some of these assignments, but ultimately we'd like to have people properly trained. And there is some areas that might not be as conducive to doing just in time training, as some others. So in the event that the town command staff isn't available, Ordinance 576 will allow the command staff of the ARC to swear in spontaneous volunteers and proclaim in emergencies. So we do have that directive. So we are able to do the swearing in of walk-up volunteers. So that's pretty much what I have to share in terms of what we're looking at. Again, we want to get the ECC's take on this. We've already got it from Marcia, the town, so we kind of know where they're going with and their thoughts. Denise and I and Dave did talk about some of these things. Obviously for us, having people that are newly sort of thrown into the ring right as an activation occurs is a little, uncomfortable for us in terms of safety. So we just want to make sure that the more we can get people signed up prior to an event, the better. That way we can have, their picture, we can have their contact information and know that we are keeping them safe, as well. I just think that for us, we wanted, the whole point of this whole thing is to make everyone comfortable and know where the parameters are. So is there any questions? Go ahead.
Drew has her hand up.
Drew.
Oh, thanks, Victoria. Yeah, on ECC, like I say, we have our meeting and I'm working on completing the agenda tonight, probably tomorrow morning. If you could just give me a phrase that I would use for the input for the ECC. You're wanting input on these procedures, or maybe you can do it later if you want to, just text me or something.
Yeah, we can chat about it, kind of where we're thinking that maybe, you guys might want to interject some other things when it comes to ham.
Yeah. No, I just need to put it on the agenda, so I just need some kind of random phrase from you that says we're going to talk about this, so.
Oh, yes. Okay. I can come up with a random phrase. Sure.
Random phrase. Yeah, you can just either text me or whatever.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Drew. Thank you.
Bye.
Anybody else? Wow, no questions on this hot topic.
I got a question.
Shocking. There we go. Yay. Thanks, Jake.
How do you get a picture of us for the picture that you're going to have for the vets? Is that when we sign up? I thought we were already signed up. So how does that occur?
Picture for your vest? Yeah.
Yes.
Dave should have everyone's pictures from when you signed up before.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I wish he was on here. Denise, do you know about more about his tag? I know he's been kind of working back and forth, but I think he was going to send out some kind of link and then you could do your own tag.
Yeah, so Dave is working on the final versions of the tag to go inside of your see-through pocket on your new vest. He has a picture that was your original picture when you signed up with Marcia, whenever that happened. I think he will allow ways to get a different picture in if that's something that you don't want. If you want to do a more recent picture. And he'll work with Marcia on the parameters of that, because we'll probably just update that picture in your file also so that it's consistent. Because if, again, we're talking, so when you take the big picture, we're really on the microscopic level right now. But if you go on the macro level of looking at this is about accountability. Adding in new volunteers is about accountability. That's the buddying system. When we double up, it's about accountability also. Are you guys having trouble hearing me? Victoria, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I have really poor internet sometimes and my bars were low. Anyhow, so we would like to have, if someone were to get hurt, say, and we had to go, submit that as a missing person, we want to use the picture that, is obviously, hopefully most current, but also to take out there. And that's why we want to pre-register. If you think you might utilize a family member for this, we would like to get them pre-registered. They can self-certify on the DSW form. That's allowed. If they're a minor, they obviously need a parental signature, but it's contact information, the DSW form to qualify for the workman's comp component of DSW. And it's also the having the picture for accountability, and we know who they are ahead of time. We can do this at the site of the day of the event, but again, there's so much going on, and depending how many people are available, that's a lot of responsibility to try to put on. The other level that Victoria was kind of alluding to is we really want to get the depth of our volunteers in here. The more volunteers that we can get, and Cert's a great level to be at, but right now it's not even really available training. And number two, it's a lot of hours. People have some free hours now, but the training's just not been hybridized enough yet for us to move into that. It's mostly how do you do the skills is a big hang up right now. You can do the online stuff, no problem, but it's the skills and what's that look like. So County Fire is working on that. They're looking at a model called the Utah model. It's rolled out actually now, the Utah College. It's rolled out now, and it's a couple of the, like Gracie Hernandez, who's in charge of Cert, is taking it currently to just kind of get her sense. And a few other of the local Certs are doing that. So we're getting that moving in the right direction. But we said, our goal is, how do you have the most prepared population as a community with as many skill sets for, self-reliance and resiliency? And I'll talk in a little bit about evacuation and the recent events around the fire after this. But how do we do that? How do we pull in more people? Yes, this audience is just, friends and family right now, but we're looking at expanding that. And there's about 10 descriptions that DSWs can be. And this is the most simple. This is what you would do with spontaneous volunteers if you were to swear them in and give them just-in-time training and self-certify. This is that level. It's called laborer level. So that's where we're starting. It also helps pull in people that don't want to get fingerprinted. So with that, this level will be limited to just doing adult type activities with adults, whereas certs can go in activities that involve children. That's kind of the difference between being fingerprinted and certified as a cert and not. So that's kind of where those little bit of nuanced differences are. But we really want to get another layering in Los Altos Hills of volunteers. I know a lot of people know the model in Los Altos. They have their BATs, their certs, and then HAMs. And some people, are all three of those at whatever level. They're a BAT leader. they're a ham, and they have Cert training. You know, so we're looking at getting all these different levels and integrating them. In addition, because of the wildland and evacuation issues, we're really looking at, you know, resiliency when it comes to wildland. I had a lot of questions that came up around the last 2 weeks of activities with the fires and things that we have ongoing. So we want to continue getting that information out, getting that educational component out to everyone so that we can get you guys being the ones that are the experts kind of and knowing what's going on. And then some of these volunteers that are going through some of these different meetings that we're having around evacuation can also be volunteers. So anyhow, any questions right now on the rest of that? And then I'll talk a little bit more about evacuation stuff since I've already brought that up. If you have any people that are interested, please reach out to Victoria and we'll get the process started. Do you have a question, Drew?
Yeah, I think, are you going to talk a little bit about the Saddle Mountain evacuation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to finish up this one to not confuse what the two are. So that's, Victoria, did you have anything more on this that you wanted to talk about before we move on to?
I know that there's been some talk about doing a spin-off sort of activation drill off of the Saddleback Mountain drill, and I think the general consensus is I think people are wanting some more training before we do that, even doing like a very easy activation. So Larry and I talked about doing kind of the communication training next week, and I think that would be beneficial for everybody prior to trying to do it. I don't know what everyone's thought process is on that, but I'm getting the impression from the group that people are not super ready to try and do anything, you know, using the alert that's going to go out for the Saddleback Mountain thing. If anyone
Yeah,
has
so that's on the 13th of September, which is the same day as the used book sale also. So just
right.
in case.
Yeah, in case anyone knows. Yeah.
But Duncan's.
I think it would be more of maybe a ham, you know, if they were wanting to put something together for that. But I think for the group, and you know, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. But I think right now it's a little premature as we have some, you know, confusion with some things.
Okay. Anything else, or would you like me to go into the evacuation?
Go for it.
Okay. So Saddle Mountain is zone 2, correct, Drew? Zone 2? In the Cert
yeah,
and
that's
the next
correct.
door?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it is Saddle Mountain, and then there's Stirrup and Saddle Court. It's not Saddleback, it's Saddle Mountain.
I know, sorry. I got to saddle back at work.
That's all right. Yeah, that's all right. No problem. But yeah, and it's
So-
zone 2, and it's right there above the park and ride by Arastadero and 280.
Yeah. So basically, this has been going on. We started early February with the initial stages of this with Marcia in the town and some key stakeholder players. Drew graciously stepped up and offered to kind of be a lead and offer her neighborhood up as our guinea pigs. I've explained this a couple of times at these CERT meetings. Since we're getting closer, just wanted to give you the most recent update, and then with the fires, it ties in very well with, you know, evacuation questions in general that we've been having. So the evacuation itself for the Saddle Mountains area was inviting all of the neighbors in that proximity to take some extra training in evacuation and then have a real-time Nixle Alert SEC message sent out that it's only a drill, there's no emergency, but that would be their initiator to pack up and get ready to go. Now, with that class, we had a workshop. We asked them to put some go bags and, you know, get kits and animal carriers and all the things that they might need, and try to do some of those things ahead of time so that they can get those in their vehicle and head down to, we're going to Prisma Park for just a drive-through check-in. And then we're going to get on a Zoom meeting and kind of do what we call in the fire service a tailboard, where we discuss what went well, what didn't go so well, kind of a gap analysis, get feedback. And then the kind of the fourth part after that, we'll kind of write up a report on it and the fourth part is I'm hoping that we can then roll the participants that participate from Saddle Mountain into what's called the Firewise community, which is a national NFPA recognized organized community that has done about 8 tenants to be very fire wise and very fire ready in the event of a fire. Works around home hardening, property preparedness to do with defensible space, property hygiene. Chipping programs heavily added into that because it talks a lot about brush removal, evacuation planning, which we're doing a lot of this already. So we're hoping to have the Saddle Mountain area to become one of our first nationally recognized Firewise communities in Los Altos Hills. And then we hope to do a rinse and repeat at a few other neighborhoods. So that's kind of where that drill is. You will be receiving, it's a 10 a.m. start, so there will be a probably all over the whole Los Altos Hills, you'll probably have a nixle. So if you see that, you know, just kind of note that that's what that is, so that you know that you are getting nixles. I know a lot of you have had that exercise recently with the fires and the pre-warnings that they sent out about evacuation. So I know that has been exercised a little bit more. This was one of the reasons to have this drill, is to exercise the alert system. Also, if people have large animals, anything like that, to hook those trailers up, things like that. Yeah, Drew?
Yeah, just a question specifically. I know Marcia's got, you know, an email list. Right now, I basically just have a few people on Saddle Mountain on my, you know, own private list, and most of the neighbors on Saddle Court. But I'm just kind of wondering, I haven't really seen any documentation as to just how many are participating, whether we're counting, if we're counting head count, we've got houses where there's 2 or 3 people per house, but I'm just wondering of the 40 homes, about how many you think are participating so far.
I think we're at 16 homes right now.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
is actually very good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know
Yeah.
there's one lady that's all fired up about it. She's trying to figure out how to transport a gecko and a corn snake and 2 dogs so that she can be part of the program. So yeah, but there's some people that are a little older in our community, and I'm not sure that they're, you know, it'd probably be a little bit of a challenge to just,
Yeah, and I think
see
to speak,
here they are.
yeah, to kind of to speak to that, if all someone does is get the alert, signs up, gets the alert, and drives off from their home, that's a win. Because it exercises that they've signed up for the alert, that they received the alert, and that they got in their car and left. You know, and
Okay, so they need to sign up for Nixle, and they need to sign up for Alert SCC.
yeah, and that's what we kind of asked from the beginning, and that's
Yeah.
everybody. And the surge in the last 2 weeks has been huge in the Nixle and Alert SCC signups all over the county because
Okay.
of all the fires going on. So I'd like to
One
keep that
just
surge.
side question, Denise, is I'm signed up for Alert SEC a long time ago, but I don't recall during the fires that I got anything. I think Bob might have gotten one, and I don't know whether I fell off or there's a way of checking without going through the whole drill again.
I think only Nixle was sent out during the fires.
Okay, all right.
I
so
don't
I'm
think
probably
Alert
okay.
SEC is sent by OEM. So
Okay.
Nixle's the local town, and
Okay.
Alert SEC's OEM. You can get just you can get just Nixles if you're signed up for both. But you will, if Nixle and Alert SEC talk to each other, but Nixle can just be activated and Cert can be not activated. It just depends on who's activating it. But if you signed up for one, you should be on both.
Okay, that would explain it, because normally when there's a countywide thing that goes out, I get it on about 5 different phones. So, you know, but I didn't get anything. So.
Yeah, and they did not send anything out for this. It was only there was some bleed over from the other counties. Some people got some bleed over from San Mateo, and then there was, because of zip code, because most of this is zip code driven when you're not signed up, and even when you are signed up, it's zip code driven. So depending on what your zip code is, you'll get captured in an alert or notification.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I signed up for the Cal Fire Alert too, which was extremely helpful. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other one that I always recommend, if you go on our lahcfd.org, when we get into these red flags and these high tension is Pulse Point. That's that app that you can follow or several entities. So if you hear sirens, you can get on your Pulse Point and look what's going on in your area. So you
Oh,
can
okay.
find out if there's a vegetation fire, and you can pick Woodside, you can pick Palo Alto, you can pick County Fire, police. You just look through their choices. Again, make your settings probably just around fires, and then make sure you turn the sound off at night, because you know, you don't want to get, if you're following everything like medicals, you're going to get all the medical calls that happen in that jurisdiction all night long. But I would highly recommend that when we get around that Monday, Tuesday, where you had the red flag warning about lightning, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's when I kind of start looking at Pulse Point. So just so you guys understand, and I don't want to throw Amita under the bus if she wants to tell me give a little bit about this, but when they drew the box for the CZU San Mateo fire, I don't know if you realize that the box that they drew, when they draw a box, they say, we do not want the fire to cross these lines. And they went to Highway 17, they went to Highway 1, they went to Highway 84, and Highway 280. Well, what does Highway 280 include? All of West Los Altos Hills. That was their containment box that they drew for this fire. So anybody who lived west of 280 was inside the containment box. To just let you know how big they were willing to let this fire go, if worse came to worse. So that's what their objective was in their incident action plan, IAP. That being said,
Denise, you've gone very quiet for me.
Yeah, same here.
And is that any better?
Yes.
Better now, thanks.
Okay, my AirPods died, and so now I'm on just the speaker on my iPad. So I apologize. I'd hope they'd make them 10 more minutes, but I died. So the other component that I wanted to just kind of emphasize is, we really dodged a bullet. The lightning strikes that happened on the hillside on the other side of the ocean side, or the west side of the hills that you live behind, they found receptive fuel beds. They found places that they could get started in a fire. You had lightning strikes on your side of the hill. Maybe not as many, but you had lightning strikes on your side of the hill. You actually had a little small spot fire in Los Trancos, which is up at that most northern west corner of the jurisdiction. So again, there's, that's all the more reason, why we have to do property hygiene, why we have to make defensible space. Because we want to make sure that if we do have things like lightning strikes, they don't find as much receptive fuel bed. I'm going to, Amita, do you want to just would you mind telling your story?
Sure. What would you like me to share?
Just that that on Sunday or Saturday night, how you ended up not having internet on Sunday, and what they found when they fixed your internet.
Sure. So my internet was up for 2.5 days right after the storm, and I spoke with Comcast. I have Xfinity internet, and I spoke with them a couple times. Initially, they had no clue why we had an outage. Eventually, they actually said there were lightning hit my lines and sliced them and damaged them completely. And they also said that their main hub in Los Altos Hills was damaged by lightning. So it took a few days to get everything fully repaired. My internet kept going in and out. And if I don't have internet, I don't have cell phone service at all, because I use Wi-Fi calling specifically. So I can't be contacted for anything or even be notified if the fire spread, for example. So yeah, that's what happened with the lightning. And then eventually, a few days later, we got the evacuation warning. That included me, since I'm on Moody Road closer to Page Mill. So I did evacuate along with 6 other people. I got them evacuated as well, since they are much elderly and would not be able to evacuate in minutes if we did receive an actual order. So yeah. Did you want me to share anything else?
No, I think that's good for if there's any questions around that. And so obviously Amita is located, Highway 35 was closed, so they had no northbound off Page Mill. So she's up in that region up off Moody and that Page Mill corner up there. So she is in that kind of close to Los Trancos area. But again, I just kind of wanted to you know, that's the thing about fire. It doesn't respect, you know, where it hits, where it goes. You know, fortunately, there weren't as many hits on this side. And like I said, they didn't find the receptive fuel beds that they found in the Bonnie Doon area. And the, you know, mostly Bonnie Doon areas where it initially had, they had 4 strikes that burned into one and called it a complex. And they didn't have the manpower. So again, that self-reliance and self-resiliency, if you have someone with access and functional needs or mobility issues like what Amita was describing of her neighbors, that's when we talk about red flag warnings or alert evacuation warning or evacuation warnings. That is a very good time for people with those types of either mobility or access functional needs of any sort that take a long time to get out or need someone to drive up. That's a really good time to have those people leave and not wait for that actual order to come out, because you have an evacuation warning or an evacuation order. Now, that being said, when an order goes in place, you cannot return to your home. So whenever you leave under a warning, make sure that you've gotten everything you need at that point, because you will not be let back in if it turns into an order while you're gone. So I just kind of wanted to give you the difference between a warning and an order. So thank you, Amita, for sharing that. And I also want to give her kudos. She arranged some wonderful enchiladas that she arranged to get them taken over to Watsonville. I assisted her as muscle power to help lift them and a bunch of donations. And we took them over to a Watsonville where they are handing out donations to people affected by the fires, and the food fed the workers at the site. So Amita, thank you. And I think did you also do today's event?
Thank you. No, I wasn't able to do today. I just got a new puppy and actually had to take him to the vet. So I wasn't able to go today. But if anyone knows if there's any other opportunities for us, I know tomorrow as well, certs are being activated, but I don't know if during the weekend or next week, then I would love to take part of anything that's going on then.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to throw, unless there's questions for me, I'm going to throw it back for the last minute or two to Victoria.
I think Drew has her hand up. Drew?
Yeah, just a quick thing. We have some property down in the Watsonville area, and the people down there, they rescued something like 1,700 animals of various sizes and shapes that they have at the Santa Cruz County Animal Welfare, and they're looking for donations of things for animals. And if you go on I think it's Santa Cruz County Animal, it's a 501c3, and I can give that to Denise or something and get it routed around. But yeah, there's at least 1,700 animals that were rescued, and they need all kinds of things for them. So including cash donations if people are amenable to that. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, and that's usually, you know, unless there's a shortage that they can't get items, usually, again, make sure it's reliable, but, you know, giving, you know, if you don't want to drive to Watsonville either, because they really were discouraging anybody coming over here for a while because of the evacuation potential. But donations, and if you're doing, if it is something for animals or people, they really, really can only accept new items. So even though it's well-hearted, lightly used, they really only can accept new items. So, you know, we can't really do the necessarily the purge of, you know, the gently used items. So if you are going to donate, have it be new items that you bring for that. That's kind of what we found out was that's just their protocol because of the COVID and everything else. They want it to be new items. So that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, Amita, again.
Denise, I have a question.
Yes.
The Post restaurant in downtown Los Altos and Together We Can organization, they are actually putting together a whole bunch of stuff for the evacuees. And we have been having people come in and kind of shop there.
Okay.
We arranged the whole restaurant into sites like men's, women's, kids, food, and gift cards as well. And some of them even send email and say, I need the following items. And if we do not have those items, a volunteer actually go out and shop for them. So in some of the events, actually, they are not able to come, and we put them together for them. And on the day that they are able to come, they would come and grab them. So we have a whole bunch of brand new sleeping bags, sleeping pads, a lot of clothes, jackets, and some request pots and pans, and some request instant coffee. Some also requested some snacks. And we also have books and all kind of stuff, actually. It was featured in Town Crier one the other day, but I couldn't find the article right now.
Okay.
If you know anybody who needs something, let me know, because I can definitely connect them to the site. And I'm volunteering there on the weekends as well and checking people in.
Perfect.
Yeah, if somebody needs something. We
Thank you
haven't
for
had
doing-
any requests. Yeah,
Can
for
you
animals.
can you give that information to Victoria so that we can just email it to her so we can work on getting it distributed and see if we can match up some needs with some haves, some wants and some haves.
I sent that info to Marsha actually, and I CC Neil, but I did not get any response back. But I'll send it to Victoria, sure.
Yeah, if you don't mind, you could CC me too on it too, also, because she's just going to give it to me also. So
sure. Okay.
Thank you so much, and thank you for volunteering and doing that. Thank you for very much.
Yes, thank you, Linda. That's awesome. Okay, so I think does anyone have anything they want to chit chat? Drew, are you hand up again, or is that from before?
No, my hand's down. I'm just sitting outside. Wait,
Okay.
just listening.
I think you're stuck on hands up. And then I see Mari.
Oh, okay.
Mari, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask if anyone else had signed up for that Listos Social Bridging Project. You have, because they do need extra help. And I have to say, after the first session where I felt completely didn't know what I was doing and very anxious.
Go Maury!
I was, and it's because I'm one of those people who hangs up when somebody calls on a cold call. So I felt like I was imposing on these people. But I have to say, there's going to be every Thursday evening, Suva Tai, who's the Cal OES.
State coordinator.
Yeah, I met him at the campfire. And he organizes all this stuff, and this Listos, they have two different types of calls. One's disaster preparedness and the other is wellness. And I have to say, so you make 20 calls and maybe 2 people are thankful that you connected with them and that you could give them a free copy of this disaster resource guide or something. It's well worthwhile. So I would highly recommend signing up for it, because we do have other Cert folks who have signed up. I will send Victoria the information on these weekly calls that Suvatai is going to be having on Thursdays. But it's very heartwarming to know that you're helping other Californians.
That's awesome.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
That was that one we talked about a while back where we gave you a lady's number and signed up. Did you sign up through a lady here locally and then they got you set up in the state?
Yeah, I signed up because when Neil sent it out for our Cert group. And then it took about several months, right, Amita? It took a while to get everything going.
Well, I'm glad it's finally going because we didn't know it was stalled for so long, and they
Yeah.
kept saying that we're in, and nothing was happening. Even at the county level, it was in our PIO call that we're embracing this, and we have no other information.
Right.
So call
Right.
this person. So I'm glad it's finally getting itself some legs under it.
Yes.
Good. Thanks for report back on
Yeah,
it.
thank you so much. And I'll look forward to the information to push out there for that call.
Okay.
Thanks, Mari. Steve, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, if you haven't, Neil Caton sent out a message about the funding of the LAH Fire Commission. They're wanting to consolidate 3 different districts. So the ones that don't have good funding want to get access to our funding and get rid of our commissioners. And you should watch the video that of the hearing that Neil sent a link to. It's kind of disturbing. And if you have to watch it, if you're upset, then we need to talk to Smitty or whoever to make sure
District
that
5, District
our
5.
voices are heard.
Yeah, right. If you, I would highly recommend watching it. There are 2 more conferences like that. I will tell you that the union for Santa Clara County Fire, the union, not the fire department, is aggressively supporting the removing the power from the commissioners and combining the district under some umbrella of the district. So very important. It's a management audit. It's not a financial audit. It's a management audit. So if you want to get more informed about that, I would absolutely do that. As a citizen and a resident of Los Altos Hills, I would absolutely get involved in it. This is your taxpayer money. This is money that they're saying that the programs that the district supported, the Los Altos Hills County Fire District supported, were illegal. Infrastructure improvements to improve hydrant water flow and the dead tree removal program were the 2 that they said were exclusively illegal that we were gifting. And it was taxpayer money of the same people. That the chipping program is questionable, which has been going on for 10 years. So as Steve described, it's not just money for the other districts, it's money for the whole county coffer. So I would highly recommend taking a look at that. I don't want to get super political. But
I was really impressed with Duffy Price's participation in that. She's very, I couldn't stand that kind of hypocrisy. But Duffy is able to work with them.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of subcommittee meetings up to this point, around that, ad hoc and subcommittee meetings. It's been all under wraps up until about May. It's been going on since August of 18. We paid almost $300,000 to have it done as a district. And the findings.
Had what done?
We had to pay for the audit.
Oh.
And we haven't had any decision or anything produced yet, but we paid almost $300,000 for the audit.
Jeez.
So, yeah. So October is the last hearing before the commission, the Board of Supervisors.
October 5.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend getting involved, I can tell you that the reason you've seen it, and a lot of people have seen it in the Palo Alto Post. It was in last Thursday, Friday, and Monday. The 1165 local for County Fire has a media. They hired a media consultant. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of push about it. But I don't think they're well informed. As Steve has said, if you watch it and really follow it, there's a lot more to it than what they're saying. The fact that it was volunteers since 1939 and they have that much of a budget saved up shows, that they've had fiscal responsibility at some level, so just that alone speaks, just if you look at the budget standpoint. Anyhow, again, don't want to get super political, but your support would be greatly. I mean, we're still going to be of some kind of something. I'm not going to lose a job. I don't lose sleep over it at night. It's disappointing because I don't.
I have a tip.
What's that?
I have a tip for watching it. It goes kind of
about 58
slow,
minutes.
so
I heard
the
about
speed
58 minutes in.
It's tolerable.
I heard about 58 minutes in or something like that. That's about when it gets good.
Yeah, well, check Neil's
Did you
email.
find?
If you want a copy of it, I can forward it to you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he sent it out to the whole CERT group.
Mm-hmm.
So again, don't want to get political, but you know, it's we're just
But
talking
you
about,
should stay informed. You should watch it.
yeah, we're talking about,
And we
you
need
know,
to get
having a,
active because Cividian's only one supervisor, one vote on that. And
yeah,
unless we get more active, he'll be outvoted.
yeah, he already has at least 2 that are supportive of it. So,
Okay.
and only
Of the consolidation or not consolidation?
of consolidating. 2 of the county board of supervisors are openly in support of consolidating.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, 2 already. So anyhow, again, happier notes, not such a great note to leave on, but you know, again,
Drew has something, Denise.
Yeah, go ahead, Drew.
I just want to quickly say that when you were earlier saying that we didn't have very many strikes in Los Altos Hills, I think I've been here like almost 35 years, and it's a testimony to the Los Altos Hills County Fire District that you know, they've been actively in one way or another helping us become more aware of what we need to do to fix our property. It's not all fixed, but it's sure in a lot better shape than a lot of the other areas of California. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's ongoing. I mean, we're in a place where we, you know, need to do it more than ever. And you know, if you imagine having management done from remote, this is the most northern town almost in the whole county. You know, they're down in San Jose. I don't know. I don't know what that would look like or what that would mean. So anyhow.
Oh, wait, one more point. So one of the objections to the program that Los Altos Hills is running is that trees were removed from really rich people's houses.
But they paid those taxes. They paid those taxes that removed those trees. Well, I'll just give you the other one is the hydrants. So we cost share. If you want to leave out of respect for the timing, please go ahead and check off. I didn't mean for this to go on. So if you need to leave, except Victoria, sorry, you guys stay on. But if the other component was that we cost share with Parissima Hills Water District. So how it works with hydrants is to have your municipal water delivered, they only need a 4-inch pipe. When they do earthquake retrofitting to have good hydrant fire flow, they increase the pipe size to 6 or 8 inches to allow to have many hydrants flowing all at the same time in case of a large fire. So it's harder for the water district to have big pipes because that allows water to get stagnant and create bacteria. So they're constantly having to move water in pipes and tanks because you have more area with big pipes than smaller pipes. They have to do that more frequently. So it's an ongoing relationship because the district owns the hydrants and Parissima Hills owns the water pipes. So we have an intimate relationship. So when they do those infrastructure upgrades, we do contribution because they're supporting our hydrants and our fire department for fire flow, for water supply. So that was, you know, it was absolutely a positive, needed necessity. And the irony of it is that if you are a Parissima Hills water payee, if you're one of their customers, you are also in the fire district. So again, it is your taxes that are going to improve infrastructure. So it's not reducing your bill, it's just keeping your infrastructure updated to the best quality to make sure water's there when there's an event or an emergency. So you know, the dead tree program removal was the other big one, but there's other components going on in it, but that's kind of the big ones. It was also saying that that the chipping program was giving rich people free chipping in one of the articles recently. So again, it is what it is, and fiscal responsibility has happened since 1939 in the district, and now they, you know, counties are short money, so they're looking at a way to get some more resources and assets. So anyhow, so get involved if you feel like it, especially if you have some extra COVID time. Tell your friends and neighbors, read up, get educated on it so you can be a mouthpiece if you'd like to. We would really appreciate the passion, especially between now and October. because it's going to be a hard road to not, when you look at a county getting to pull a bunch of money just out of the air, it's a big thing. So you can see how it's leaning already out of that. So thank you, Steve. I didn't want to bring that up, but thank you. All right. Any other questions? We got a little political there. Sorry. Victoria.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you Victoria for the presentations.
Oh, thanks, Drew.
Yeah, thanks for staying, Louise.
Before we wrap up, I think we should see a little preview of our newest Cert member, Amita's puppy. Oh my gosh, so cute.
Here's you. Say hi, Stu.
Hi.
What
Hi,
kind,
He's a
kind is
girl,
he?
and yeah, he had a very long day today. He went to the vet, and he's been vomiting actually, but got him washed and all ready for the day, and then he decided to eat a full chicken wing that I accidentally dropped.
God.
Oh.
So I'm just hoping, because he didn't chew it, that he's okay.
Is it raw or cooked? Apparently,
I'm sorry?
Is it raw or cooked? Apparently raw is okay
It
for
was
dogs. Oh,
Yeah, raw is
Remember.
fine, but it's cooked. But he ate it whole, so we're hoping that'll just pass through. But yeah, he's a handful.
What breed is he? What breed is he?
Beauty.
He's apparently a miniature pinscher. They said he's a Manchester Terrier, but I don't think so. I mean, his face looks more like a Chihuahua. So I think like a miniature pinscher Chihuahua. Yeah. Say hi, Duke.
Very cute.
Well, we'll leave you guys with that cute little picture of that cute precious dog.
Better to leave on a good note.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. You guys take care. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.